Welcome to WebEx. Press 1 to be connected to your meeting. You're muted. You can press *6 anytime to unmute yourself. You're being asked to unmute yourself. To unmute, press *6. You're unmuted.
Hi, good morning. It is Tuesday, November 7th. We're going to be starting our board meeting, and I'd like to ask for a roll call to establish quorum, please.
Supervisor Bronson. Supervisor Christie.
Here.
Supervisor Hines. Supervisor Scott.
Here.
Chair Grijalva.
Here.
Let the record show Supervisors Bronson and Hines are out. All other board members are present.
Thank you. We do accept Supervisor Hines to join us shortly, and Supervisor Bronson will not be at the meeting today. So we have Pastor Miles here from Tucson Church International, going to be accepting a proclamation, and I'm wondering if you'd be willing to start us off. Thank you so much.
Let us pray. Father, we bless you, we honor you, and we give you glory. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this opportunity. Lord, this morning my heart goes out for the unrest that is taking place abroad. I pray today for our nation. I pray today for Pima County. I pray for the elections that are taking place, that are underway. Lord, this morning I'm praying for the citizens of Pima County. Lord, I pray for those that are struggling, those that are challenged, those that are discouraged, disillusioned, or disenfranchised. I pray, God, for unity over Pima County, for all of the agencies and groups that we would come together and collectively serve the needs of the people. Father, I pray for the Board of Supervisors. I pray for your wisdom and your counsel, and that your guidance, Lord, would be present among them as they govern. And Lord, I pray your choicest blessings to rest over this county. For I ask this now in the strong, mighty, and powerful name of Jesus Christ, my Lord. Amen. Amen.
Madam Chair, could we have the pastor at every meeting?
We're on a roll. Okay. Supervisor Christie, would you like to introduce our guest?
I would. It would be my honor to introduce Sergeant First Class Retired Tom Beresny, who has served as our office's Greater Green Valley Area Representative since 2019, assisting residents with concerns that need to be resolved with the appropriate Pima County departments. He works extensively with community partners such as the Green Valley Council, the Green Valley Sahuarita Chamber of Commerce, Green Valley Fire District, the Continental Elementary School District, along with multiple service organizations. He retired from the U.S. Army active duty in 2000, and he retired from federal civil service in 2014. There's no more fitting time, place, or opportunity than to have First Class Retired Sergeant Beresny lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks. Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you. Next, we're going to have the land acknowledgement to be offered by Sergeant Agustin Lopez, U.S. Army retired, the Pascuayaqui, he's with the Pascuayaqui Tribe Color Guard, joined here by his sons Julian and Emiliano. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good morning, Chairwoman, Delita Grijalva, Board of Supervisor members, also the County Administrator and the County Attorney. My name is Augustine Fernando Lopez, Jr. I'm a retired U.S. Army Sergeant with two combat tours in Iraq in 2003 and 2005. I'm a member of the Pascuayaqui Nation. I'm also a former police officer with the Pascuayaqui Nation and Tohono Nation. And currently I'm a student with the University of Arizona studying studio arts. My main focus is missing and murdered indigenous relatives and also the boarding school epidemics. So I create work of photography to raise awareness, and also I'm an advocate. On behalf of all indigenous nations in Pima County, the state of Arizona, and the United States, I am honored to read this statement. On behalf of the Pima County residents, we honor the tribal nations who have served as caretakers of this land and from time immemorial, and respectfully acknowledge the ancestral lands, the homelands of the Tohono Nation, and the multi-millennial presence of the Paskayaki tribe within Pima County. Consistent with Pima County's commitment to diversity and inclusion, we strive toward building equal partner relationships with Arizona tribal nations. I thank you on behalf of my people to all. We work to create unity together and to work together from many generations to come. Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here and for your service. Okay. And now we have pause for pause, and we have an in-person guest. So nice. Sergeant Lopez, your sons are looking at the dog. I'm just letting you know.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Kaylee. I'm the Public Information Officer at PAC. This is Paris. She is about 4 months old. She actually came to us at PAC a few weeks ago, and she was a very sick little puppy. But we're really lucky at PAC to have a special ward where we can isolate those sick animals and really help them get back to health. And she's all good now, ready to find a home. We've actually seen a lot of puppies come in this year, which is interesting, more so than usual. So always a great reminder to spay and neuter those pets, help us get that population under control. We have 457 dogs in the shelter today. 450 is considered critical capacity, so we are so close. So remember, any dog that goes home is helpful, whether it's little Paris here, who's going to be easy and wonderful to work into your life, or one of our more challenging dogs. We have about 80 cats, so if you want to go that way too, that's awesome as well. All adoptions are free for dogs and puppies right now, so again, if you are looking for a canine friend, we have many that would love to live with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I would like to ask for a moment of silence. We have Richard Loperena passed away on Thursday, November 2nd. He had a trade maintenance specialist assigned to the adult detention center. He was only with Pima County a little over a year, but was promoted within that time. I also knew him in Tucson Unified. He worked in Tucson as well. Richard is a very kind person with a big heart and got along well with everyone. Our condolences to his friends and family who are mourning his loss. Rest in peace. And we also have members here from our sheriff's department to honor Kenzo, Sheriff K-9 partner, while responding to a 911 hang-up of a reported robbery. K-9 Kenzo sustained injuries when attacked by a suspect. Kenzo later succumbed to those injuries. The suspects were captured, and the investigation is in the hands of our Criminal Investigations Division. This is a sad reminder of the dangers our deputies face with their K-9 partners who serve alongside them. Please keep Deputy Rodriguez and his team in your prayers. And so with that, I'll ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Sheriff Nanos is here. Did you want to give us an update on how your team is doing, or just wanted to be here for the moment? Thank you so much. Okay. With that, I did have a request by Supervisor Christie for point of personal privilege.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. It gives me an opportunity to brag about 2 shining stars in District 4 that we're most proud of. The Arizona Department of Education announced Pima County Schools letter grades the other day, and notably, all of Tanque Verde Unified School District schools received A grades, and the Vail Unified School District earned an overall A, with only one of its schools not getting the top grade, and that school received a B. So we're very proud of our school districts, and they've earned these awards and these letters magnificently, and we're proud of what they do, and they are great examples of how community involvement, parental involvement, and student involvement all working together can create such excellence. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that. And I will say that overall, all of our county schools improved dramatically. Some of them improved 2-letter grades. The school that my 2 high schoolers attended, 2 different high schools, both received a B, and the middle school that my youngest attends, received an A. So we're really proud of all of the work that they're doing throughout in Sunnyside and Tucson Unified, Amphi. They're all really working as hard as they can to recover from the closure of the pandemic, and that was a real huge impact on our students. So I would like to also take a point of personal privilege to congratulate Old Tucson for another successful year of Nightfall. It was the 31st annual and only the second since they reopened, with over 150 actors cruising around all over the place. They had a really good time, and I had the privilege of joining the event with D5 students, and we had a blast. Many thrills in the heart of D5, its beautiful west side. My sincere thanks to Old Tucson's general manager, Mr. Tony Sanders, for your support, and to Diane Frisch, our attractions and tourism director, for your support in encouraging our youth to join this wonderful events like this. Yuletide at Old Tucson is the next major event, and I encourage us all to join. Yuletide is Tucson's newest Christmas tradition, back for another season of festive holiday cheer. It will begin November 24th. So if you'd like to go do that, that will be fun. Okay. Anything else? All right. So now we are on to proclamations. Oh yes, please go ahead. Our clerk to let us know about the changes to the agenda.
Yes, on the regular agenda, page 3, item 12, the Flood Control District Board. It's the riparian habitat mitigation. This item will be heard at a time certain of 10 a.m. On the addendum, page 1, item 5, Board of Supervisors, infrastructure needs in Pima County. In rural Pima County, I'm sorry. Supervisor Bronson requests this item be continued to the board meeting of November 21st, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Christie.
on the agenda, I have a point of order on addendum item number 6, the release of attorney-client privilege memorandum. I have not seen that memorandum. I'm wondering where it might be and how come I have not been able to
Well, we're
review
going to discuss it in executive session, and is my understanding. It's with addendum exec number 3. So
I'm going to be asked to address something I haven't seen yet, and I'm just wondering, this is highly, I think, irregular, because I've had numerous attorney-client privilege letters and memorandums sent to me, and this one we're going to be addressing, and I haven't even seen it.
Administrator Lesher.
Chair Grijalva and Supervisor Christie, I had asked a question and the memo came addressed to me and not copied, and I didn't feel in that case, when it was attorney-client privilege, asked that I couldn't release it even to the board without it being released today. That's why you got a summary of what it said within it.
Well, I find it interesting that theoretically, I believe you work for the board, and consequently, the client would be the Board of Supervisors, of which I am a member of, and I did not receive the memorandum.
I think that's why she's requesting to be able to release it. I understand your position. Is that correct?
Correct.
And we can absolutely discuss it there, have an opportunity, and then release it. I'm totally comfortable with that, but we haven't.
Just feel like
that.
I'm being asked to do something I'm not prepared to do, and I don't think that's proper.
I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So anything else? We're going to move on to proclamations. This is item number 5, presentation and proclamation to Gilbert Ibarra and Angel Benitez, Transportation Department, Marjava Ramirez and Ana Camarillo, Community and Workforce Development, Dana Morales, Angelica Garcia, and Joanna Encinas, County Administrator's Office, proclaiming the month of December 2023 to be Toys for Tots Collection Month. I'll go ahead and move the item. I have a motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously 3-0. And I'll meet you all down here. Yeah? Trying to come up and get the proclamation? Okay. All right. So, whereas, trying to move this way? Do you feel crowded? Okay. Local, whereas local United States Marine Corps reservists and veterans voluntarily support the Marines Toys for Tots Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides leadership, funding, and the labor force needed for organizing the annual toy collection for distribution sites throughout the country. And whereas these Marines and veterans bring awareness and relief by requesting new unwrapped toys for their annual Toys for Tots campaign. And whereas without such voluntary contributions, children and nonprofit charitable organizations throughout our nation may otherwise receive fewer toy donations. And whereas it is the desire of Pima County employees to wholeheartedly support this year's collection of Toys for Tots organization, then assist families in need throughout Pima County and southern Arizona. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pima County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaims the month of December 2023 to be Toys for Tots Collection Month, passed and adopted this 7th day of November 2023. Get in. Okay. So I think I'm going to speak for our county administrator as well, that we'd like a couple of these boxes all over Pima County facilities too. Yes? Yeah? Okay. Thank you. Let's take a picture. Okay, next we have the presentation of proclamation to Reverend Demetrius Miles, lead pastor, Tucson Church International, proclaiming the day of Saturday, November 11, 2023, to be Tucson Church International Day. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
Have a motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously 3-0. And this was an item put forward by Supervisor Bronson, but Supervisor Scott has graciously offered to join you all up here in the front if you'd like to come. Thank you.
It's an honor.
Whereas Tucson Church International was established and founded as a Christ-centered Bible teaching church in Pima County in February 1999, and whereas since its inception, Tucson Church International has provided financial support to many community agencies, including food distribution, to assist the disadvantaged citizens in this community, and whereas over the past 3 years, Tucson Church International, together with World Vision Incorporated, has touched the lives of thousands through monthly TCI outreach events, providing home appliances, indoor and outdoor furniture, and tools valued at over $3 million to date at no cost to the citizens of Pima County. And whereas Tucson Church International has adopted the Flowing Wells School District and sponsored many Thanksgiving Day meals, school backpack events, sneaker drives, and laptops to underprivileged children and families in the past several years, and whereas November 11, 2023 celebrates the 25th anniversary of Tucson Church International, located in Pima County, and is still committed as much today as it was in 1999 to help nurture the faith of members and to be a good neighbor to those in need. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Pima County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaims Saturday, November 11, 2023, to be Tucson Church International Day, and further extends its appreciation to its pastor and church members for the vital services performed and their exemplary dedication to the citizens of Pima County, Arizona. Congratulations.
to the Board of Supervisors. I just want to say on behalf of Tucson Church International Partners that as we receive this proclamation today, that we really want to celebrate the collaboration that we have with all of our partners. We partner with churches, we partner with the school districts, and with other nonprofit organizations. And so we believe truly that we are better together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And then on the addendum, item number 1, we have the presentation of a proclamation to Eileen Wilson, Angie Anderson, and Joni Hammond, Hands of Hope Adoption Agency, proclaiming the month of November 2023 to be National Adoption Month in Pima County. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
I have a motion, a second by Supervisor Christie. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. Item passes 3-0. Thank you.
This is a special honor as well because these are my constituents from District 4 that are putting this together and receiving this, and it's an honor. Thank you for being here. Whereas November was declared National Adoption Month by presidential proclamation in 1995, and whereas adoption also offers a loving option for women who experience unexpected pregnancies or are unable to provide for their children, and whereas every year countless families, including many who cannot have children on their own, cherish the priceless gift of an adopted child, and whereas National Adoption Month also promotes awareness of those in foster care who need permanent families, and whereas an estimated 115,000 children in the United States are in foster care through no fault of their own and are waiting for the security and love of a permanent home, and whereas we celebrate the blessings of adoption and renew our resolve to promote a culture of respect for every human life. We are honoring the selfless contributions of community members, faith leaders, caregivers, and role models, and whereas declaring November as National Adoption Month in Pima County is an opportunity to recognize adoptive families who have given a child a safe, permanent, and loving home, and the more than 5 million Americans alive today enjoying the benefits of adoption. Now therefore be it resolved that the Pima County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaims the month of November 2023 to be National Adoption Month in Pima County, and encourages all Pima County residents to observe this month by helping children and youth in need of a permanent home and a permanent home secure that will promise a more and better future with a forever family and enter adulthood with the love and connections we all need. Passed and adopted this 7th day of November, 2023. Congratulations. Anybody want to say a few words?
Thank you to the Board of Supervisors, especially Steve Christie. As an adoptive parent, I will always advocate for adoption and celebrate the gift of life.
Anybody else? Okay, all right, let's have a picture. Why don't we go right over here and have a picture? You bet.
Thank you for being here. All right. Now we're moving on to call to the public. We do have 21 speakers, and so every speaker will have 2 minutes. Citizens attending the meeting shall observe the rules of propriety, decorum, and good conduct. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or who becomes boisterous while addressing the board may be removed by the sergeant at arms if directed by the chair. Such person may be barred from future further audience before the board. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stomping of feet, whistling, yells, and similar demonstrations shall not be permitted by the chair, who may direct offenders from the hearing room. I will ask you all to please be civil and respectful to all of the speakers, whether you agree with their positions or not. With that, I'll go ahead and call Arnold Montiel, Michael Ivan, and Sharon Green.
Good morning, distinguished members of the board. My name is Arnold Montiel. I'm a ABEC student. I'm an adult basic education student. I'm also an advocate for adult basic education. I'm also sit on the student senate. I serve as chair, and just recently I have achieved my GED just a couple of weeks ago, and
Yay!
And thanks to the contributions that the board has made. And as a student, I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for me and my fellow students. And I would, as an advocate for adult basic education, I'd like to advocate for further funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I thank you for letting me share my story. My name is Mombeo Lunyoni. I'm from Congo in Africa. It's a great privilege for me to meet with you today, face to face, people who support adult education. I'm a student at Pima Community College downtown campus for adult education. I have been in Tucson since 2016. I spoke no English. I began to learn English at the Pima Community College for adults. I took citizenship class, and this year I got my American citizenship. I took also some lessons about ambassador leadership, which helped me to understand how to be active in our community. Once again, thank you for humble support to adult education. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.
Good morning. I hope everyone having a wonderful morning. I'm Maria Molera, and as well part of the GD program. So thank you for funding the adult basic education programs.
Thank you. And if you wouldn't mind, if the two of you could fill out one of the forms, that would be really helpful, just so we know who spoke.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Thank you. Michael.
It was announced on June 30th of 2022 that the University of California, Los Angeles and the University of Southern California had signed lucrative financial deals and were leaving the Pac-12 conference and joining the Big Ten conference, which will more than quadruple the athletic department's travel miles, with conference games now as far away as New Jersey. The departure caused several of the remaining universities to seek out deals of their own. This included the University of Arizona and Arizona State University, have since joined the Big 12 conference, more than doubling the athletic department's travel miles for each. Next season, the Wildcats will play in Orlando, Florida, a conference game against the University of Central Florida. To date, I am unaware of any governing body anywhere condemning these massive increases in our carbon footprints. Anyone, including from California, the home state of the two institutions that started this avalanche of devastation. Will you be the first legislators to condemn these actions of pure greed? Thank you for your consideration and helping to identify this massive attack on our planet.
Thank you.
I do have.
If you could hand it to the staff there, we'll get a copy. Thank you so much. Sharon Green?
Having had a group of people speak here about their concerns of hate speech, I have some concerns about what hate speech is. I grew up in the 50s and 60s, yeah, I'm that old, in a Christian home, and we were raised to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. We were taught to do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. If we had all had lived by these principles, hate speech would not be an issue. I hope that our government policies can be based on godly principles upon which our founding fathers developed our country. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of the creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal." I also have a dream. I dream that we will have safe and secure borders, that foreign militants and terrorists will no longer be allowed to walk in, be bused, or to be flown to parts of our country to create chaos, death, and destruction of the law-abiding citizens of our country. Yes, I have a dream that our governing officials, we will honor we the people instead of trying to destroy us. Yes, I have a dream that we will once again have a government that supports our U.S. and state constitutions and our Bill of Rights instead of trying to undermine and destroy it. I have a dream that this Board of Supervisors will honor we the people instead of perpetrating an agenda that brings further destruction, poverty, and crime through Marxist policies. Don't believe me? Read Live Not by Lies, the conclusions by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Yes, I have a dream that the damage done by the open borders will be reversed and that we will have safe and secure borders. I pray you have wisdom to restore and protect our county and state, not destroy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Corey Stevens, followed by J.P. Salvatierra and Dave Smith. Who was that?
Good morning. Last meeting, Matt Hines said he was insulted by the Sheriff's Department budget. He's not here right now. I'm insulted the fact that Matt Hines is not here, that he doesn't show up to do his job. I'm insulted that he throws tantrums and leaves early. I'm insulted that he has not paid attention by the fact that for the last year and a half, he has not done his job and that his chief of staff has done his job. I'm insulted that he's a hospitalist and he is now a owner of a restaurant. I'm insulted at the millions of dollars that he has funded. And today we're going to give millions of dollars to Catholic Community Services under the guise of COVID to purchase the Drexel building, which I think is ridiculous. I'm insulted that we let a terrorist from Senegal get through our border, make it all the way to New York City, where he was apprehended. That's on your shoulders. I'm insulted that Matt Hines is unaware of the fact that he perpetuated COVID nonsense, which allowed our sheriff's department to be understaffed, and he's insulted. I'm insulted by the fact that he was allowed to sit in this back office and say that he's insulted by us and can't take us seriously. I'm insulted that he called unvaccinated people murderers and that we should be charged with murder. I'm insulted that he called unmasked children typhoid Marys. I'm insulted by the mere fact that he can't dress up to be here.
Thank you. J.P. Salvatierra. Followed by Dave Smith, Peter Norquist, and Janet Newstedler.
Gisela Aaron? Did you call Gisela
No,
Aaron?
I did not.
Oh, sorry.
Madam Chair, Board of Supervisors, My name is Jonathan Salvatierra, and I come here today to identify two major issues that are of very significant importance and some paperwork that I'm going to give to the clerk for you. Essentially, it deals with the two strangleholds that we have on our community. One is Tucson Electric Power, Unisource, Fortis, their parent company, foreign company. The other is our charter school voucher programs. They're both completely out of hand. They're open-ended. They're going to be very soon the big monsters on our back that can't pay for things that we need as valuable, necessary, essential services here in Tucson. Though TEP employs 1,700 members, our residential rates, on average, Tucson residents pay $274 a month on electricity. That adds to up to $3,288 per year. That's a 37% high increase than the national average for an electricity bill. They also provide natural gas through Unisource that's provided into Flagstaff. And I imagine they buy their natural gas from their parent to supply Tucson Electric Power. They just received a 10% rate increase, but in one article that was mentioned, their Tucson Electric Power revenue for 2022, their peak was $1.6 billion.
Thank you. If you wanted to leave those written notes, you can give it to the staff right there. Thank you so much. Dave Smith, if I've called your name, feel free to come up and sit here so you're closer. Peter Norquist, Janet Neustedler, and Gisela Aaron.
Chairman Grijalva, Supervisor Scott, Supervisor Christie, you guys, I know we come up here every couple weeks and we're probably just static to you guys. We're just noise, but there's a signal in our noise. And I keep asking you to husband our resources effectively. I guess that word is a hard word to understand. What it means is to take care of those funds and then our property. I mean, you are a supervisors. Supervise. Don't just give. You know, this funding, let's take an example here. Item 41, $6.223 million to give who? Citizens of this country access? No. Yet you're taking my funds. See, Pete, we need to quit talking about public funds. We need to talk about my funds, your funds, each person here's funds. And you're redistributing it not for our public good. There's no public good in this. These are not the public. These are not people who are of this country. And you are now putting the priority of their welfare, redistributing my private goods, my money, against my will. My money's taken from me by coercion. I can't not pay taxes. Believe me, do I know that? And at the same time, you just frivolously give it away. And I don't know if you think this is going to buy you power or if it's some misbegotten sense of charity. The problem is your first responsibility to charity is within our community, our neighbors. And the problem is there's no vetting, there's no research. This has become just a grift. The fact that these people are getting monies, which is not meant for this. This is meant to be, let's see the way I read this, it's a fiscal recovery from a disease. Well, I'd say the disease is illegal aliens, and you're encouraging it. And I challenge you.
Please don't. Please don't.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Norquist.
Right. Good morning, supervisors and administrator. My name is Peter Norquist, and I want to make a statement in honor, I suppose, of Election Day today. We, the people, in writing the federal and state constitutions, reserve specific rights to ourselves, separate from the limited authority we gave elected officials to do the work related to the restrictions provided in the constitutions. Among those rights is the right to free elections, unimpaired by any government agent or private entity. All constitutionally adherent elections are to combine individual secret voting by ballots and public counting by the people. This right is to remain inviolate at all times. Nowhere is it indicated that any other method of elections is permitted by the people. The election process is to be transparent as to counting and may not constitutionally be adjusted to accommodate any other means of counting. The election process shall be free of interference of any power, civil, military, or corporate. Arizona state counties as bodies politic and corporate entities have entered into unconstitutional contracts with corporations. For example, ES&S, Eric, Runbeck, 10X, and Thelios, that call for the performance of services and the implementation of technology that interferes with the people's process of elections. These contracts, by virtue of what these companies are doing, prevent the people from observing the actual vote count, violate voter privacy, and hinder transparency in the entire voting process. The people's elections have effectively been handed over to the corporations to be managed privately with proprietary protections afforded, so that their accountability to the people has been usurped and is a trespass. The process of holding elections is to be controlled by and for the benefit of the people, with no interference from any entity or power. Therefore, contractual arrangements between any Arizona governmental body and corporations which interferes with our right to suffrage is a violation of the constitutional rights of the people of Arizona. Thank you.
Janet Newsteller.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak again. I'd like to start also to just mirror what Dave Smith said. Sometimes I get up here, I have my agenda, I've worked on it, I've done my research, and I feel like it just is falling on deaf ears. So I'm wondering if you're here to represent the people of Tucson. I'm confused. I don't feel it. So on the agenda item 41, $7 million to house illegal immigrants. Do we have an agenda item that says we're putting $7 million into reinforcing the border, into implementing better police department, into funding all the travesty of fentanyl, all the people that are homeless right on these steps that are drug addicts right out here? Is there an agenda item for that? I don't see it. So if it's there, I'd love to, let me know. So I think you're just taking a page out of the Biden playbook, which is pay, and we'll deal with it later, and we don't know where the money's coming from. And here's just all these agenda items. They're like millions and millions of dollars. Do you guys really have some discretion? I don't see it, so illuminate. I'd like to also just talk about a couple of the other agenda items that are specifically the smart monies manhole covers, which is going into the whole smart city thing. Again, is that money better spent somewhere else? Just saying. I'd like to end with this agenda to give us to accept our own demise by accepting conditions of letting go of the sovereign nation state as the institution that was fought so hard over to give us liberties to defend over them and to increase the quality of life of our children and grandchildren over many centuries is being washed away. What you're trying to undo over a global restoration of global feudalism.
Thank you. You can leave your comments with staff, please. Stella Aaron, followed by Melissa Conboy and Lori Moore.
Greetings, public servants. My name is Gisela Aaron, and you are now being served with remonstrance by affidavits, which previously have been served in Maricopa County multiple times since May 23. We are happy today to share with you the court order that the writ was filed in common law court on August 18 regarding unconstitutional actions by public servants. For the sake of clarity, administrative courts deal with regulatory or administrative laws which are passed by executive agencies. Common law or natural law rely on and use the Constitution for their decisions made in their courts. In the event that you have not been provided with a copy, we'd be happy to give you a copy. We have placed on top of the court filing a page for which the particular is of particular interest. It is the last page of the court filing, and please make note that it appears in the lower right-hand corner is the seal of Abraham Lincoln, the stamped seal that is for common law and natural law. On August 18, when the filing was the court order was filed, the plaintiffs were surprised to hear that the clerk had never used this stamp before. This stamp is the distinguisher between administrative court and constitutional common law court. Therefore, it is an important distinction, and I would like to mention that the authors, the creators of this writ, for this writ of court is formal, it is legal, and it can order a person or an entity to perform or cease to perform this specific deed. The authors are the plaintiffs: Daniel Wood, Daniel Clayton Wood, sui juris, Joseph Michael Grimm, sui juris, Deborah Ann Boehm, sui juris, Brian Edward Steiner, sui juris, and Saints of Almighty God, meaning everyone that believes in God. Thank you. This is the stamp.
Thank you. Melissa Convoy.
This is a continuation of the last one. The defendants who have been served in this lawsuit are Arizona President of the Senate, Warren Peterson, and all senators, the Speaker of the House, Ben Toma, and all House reps, original writ, matter of necessity for the furtherance of justice, notice of claim of unconstitutionality of acts, trial by grand jury demanded as per common law standards. The main topics of this filing are HAVA and ARS Title 16. Questions as follows. What constitutional authority did the legislature receive from we the people to institute the Help America Vote Act, or HAVA, of 2002? What constitutional authority did the federal government have to interfere with the people of the state of Arizona's right to suffrage? The answer as to what clarifies this as being unconstitutional is found in the Arizona Constitution, Article 2, Section 21, free and equal elections. All elections shall be free and equal, and no power, civil or military, shall at any time interfere to prevent the free exercise of the right of suffrage, as well as the contracts with Dominion, Eric, and Runback, by virtue of what these companies are doing, is unconstitutional. It prevents the people from observing the actual vote count. It violates voter privacy and hinders transparency in the entire voting process, so much so that the accountability to the people has been usurped and is a trespass. Maximum law states private contracts or agreements cannot deviate from public law or right. Maximum law, which is both used and respected universally, a maxim is a proposition to be of all men confessed and granted without proof, argument, or discourse. Maximum laws, like any other fundamental laws, always hold true and yield the same results from under the same conditions. Thank you.
Lori Moore, followed by Sarah Price, Kay Anderson, and Pendleton Spicer.
My name is Laurie Moore. I'm a U.S. citizen in Oro Valley. The preamble of the United States Constitution states, quote, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." The preamble of the Arizona Constitution states, and I quote, "We the people of the state of Arizona, grateful to Almighty God for our liberties, do ordain this Constitution." Article 2, Section 2 of the Arizona Constitution states, "All political power is inherent in the people, and the governments derive their powers from the consent of the governed and are established to protect and maintain individual rights." Plaintiffs do hold all political power. By having this great authority, plaintiffs do hereby invoke and stand on God's law, natural law, common law, the 50 state constitutions, and the United States Constitution. Plaintiffs lawfully have all power originating and invested in them, no matter the process or form, written, expressed, or implied. Plaintiffs invoke the laws herein mentioned above, and they do not consent or authorize the United States or any Arizona Superior Court to act or perform under any legislative, administrative, judicial, or executive act, statute, code, policy, or rule other than the mandatory provisions provided in the United States and the Arizona Constitution. This is strictly a matter of necessity for the people.
Thank you. Sarah Price?
Good morning, Supervisors. Oh, you need a microphone. Okay. My name is Sarah Price, and I'm a resident of Pima County. It is essential for the judicial branch to return to its original jurisdiction by resuming its distinction from all other branches as seen in the Arizona Constitution, Article 3. The United States and the State of Arizona Court of Record will find settled law in the case of Miranda versus Arizona, which reaffirms where, quote, where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaker or legislation which would abrogate or evade them. No ruling or legislation shall interfere with any argument and matters in its original writ, as this is a jurisdictional matter. No ruling or legislation shall interfere with any arguments. I'm sorry. Government officials have been given notices and affidavits informing them that the people's individual constitutional rights and electoral process was trespasses due to repugnant legislative acts, statutes, rules, codes, and policies by way of maladministration. These legislative acts and statutes as follow: the Federal and Arizona Administrative Act, the Administrative Procedures Act, and Help America Vote Act of 2002, and Arizona Revised Statutes under Title 16, Chapter 4, Article 4. These legislative acts and statutes are trespass and require constitutional question to provide a remedy for harm done to the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Kay Anderson?
Hello, Board of Supervisors. This is also a continuation. Defendants and its agents or agencies currently are acting in absolute breach of the trust indenture of the United States and the Arizona Constitution. Plaintiffs bring this emergency matter of the constitutional question out of necessity for the people in order to make null and void the unconstitutional legislative acts and statutes. As a remedy for this trespass, the plaintiffs come individually as trust protectors and are in fact lawful inhabitants of the United States and Arizona. Plaintiffs demand the furtherance of justice in the United States and Arizona Constitutional Court of Record and under common law. Take notice, defendants and all other government officials are required by the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States and under U.S. statute that an oath shall be administered in the form of the following. I put your name here. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States. This oath binds all government officials to protect and maintain the individual rights of the people of the United States and the 50 states. After an in-depth research, you all failed to find a record or certificate that any oath has ever been executed. This original writ is a matter of necessity and essential in addressing Arizona's unconstitutional electoral process. Arizona's electoral process has caused a state of national emergency due to the absolute breach of the United States and the Arizona constitutions. And I would like to say God bless you all, and I hope that God removes the scales from your eyes so you can clearly see evil is evil and good is good, and stop switching the two.
Pendleton Spicer, followed by Sharon Fickus, Laura Hingup, and Eileen Wilson.
Good morning, Board. My name is Pendleton Spicer. The United States, and this is a continuation. The United States Congress enacted a HAVA, which in actuality is truly like a publisher's clearinghouse experience. Think about it. They sell products for money while using the bait of rewards, which rarely materialize in order to financially incentivize the state to accept funds through a federal program. It's not their job to manage money. HAVA reads as follows, and I quote, "An act to establish a program to provide funds to states to replace punch card voting systems, to establish the Election Assistance Commission, to assist in the administration of federal elections, and to otherwise provide assistance with the administration of certain federal election laws and programs, to establish minimum election administration standards for state and units of local government with responsibility for the administration of federal elections and for other purposes," unquote. The state of Arizona codified HAVA by enacting ARS Title 16, which further allows the state's 15 counties to enter into unconstitutional contracts with corporations. These corporations own and operate the systems and machines or devices as required by HAVA and ARS Title 16, Chapter 4, Article 4. These same corporations have unconstitutional contracts and agreements with the state of Arizona and county government to remove the people's electoral process by requiring a corporation's own personnel to manage the voting systems and equipment prior to, during, and after Election Day. This has to stop.
Thank you. Sharon Vickers?
Good morning, Supervisors. I'm Sharon Fickus, legal resident of Pima County. Due to corporations' use of proprietary property and/or confidential information per unconstitutional contractual agreements, the people of Arizona are unable to observe Arizona's proper electoral chain of custody of the people's ballot. The state of Arizona's government and corporations' use of voting system removes the people's ability to observe the counting of ballots, thereby subverting the chain of custody. We have no guarantees that votes for A, B, and C, which were entered into the voting systems, were not switched to X, Y, and Z. Unconstitutional contracts between the state of Arizona's government, both state and county, and corporations interfere with Arizona's free and equal elections. This has caused the people of Arizona to be disenfranchised. All Arizona elections are to be held by the people. The subverted electoral process leaves the people to believe that government officials are no longer elected by the people. Rather, they are selected by government lobbyist groups, bureaucrats, corporations. As a result, there are in fact irregularities in the Arizona electoral process and allegations of bribery. Government officials have failed to protect the people from both invasion and insurrection. In a speech on April 12, 1900, the House of Representatives John McDowell said, in referring to the elections not held by the people, that it demoralizes the legislature, corrupts legislators, prevents necessary legislation, causes people to have less regard for our political systems and public officials. Government officials have created tyranny, trespass, which is a great harm and nuisance to the individual just people of the state and the nation. Today's November 7/23. 1 year from now, November 7/24, we have the chance to remove you from office. Look for it.
Yeah. Laura, hang up.
Furthermore, the executive branches, both state and federal, by way of the Administrative Act and Administrative Procedures Act, disregard the fundamental principles of law, the United States and state constitutions, maximum law, common law, and the people of Arizona's constitutional due process. Plaintiffs have firsthand knowledge of the facts and have seen and experienced firsthand how the Federal and Arizona Administrative Act and Administrative Procedures Act allowed the legislative, executive, and judicial branches and its child agencies to unconstitutionally create, expand, and redelegate official powers. Government officials have received by notice and affidavits which point out their trespass, maladministration, and usurpation of office are violating the constitutions. The current unconstitutional Federal and Arizona Administrative Act and Administrative Procedures Act shall be terminated and shall be declared null and void. The current Federal and Arizona Administrative Act, including the Administrative Procedures Act, are functioning as and are allowing maladministration, usurpation of powers, and trespass against the people. These legislative acts are not constitutionally guaranteed by the people or to an administrative agency or agencies. These agencies are acting outside of the voluntary political subdivisions. These boundaries are to be individually distinct and separate branches, as indicated in the framing set forth as agreed upon in the Arizona Constitution.
Thank you. Eileen Wilson. I do want to make note, we have a time certain item at 10 o'clock, but we only have 4 speakers left, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the call to the audience. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Eileen Wilson, proud Republican, District 4. Thank you, Supervisor Christie. This is also in continuation, Arizona Constitution, Article 2, Section 32. The provisions of this Constitution are mandatory unless by express words they are declared to be otherwise. 4E, a delegate cannot delegate, an agent cannot delegate his functions to a sub-agent without the knowledge or consent of the principal. The person to whom an office or duty is delegated cannot lawfully devolve the duty of another unless he be expressly authorized to do so. Jurisdiction and venue. Again, I repeat, King James Version, Daniel 7:27. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Maxims of law, like any other fundamental laws, always hold true and yield the same results under the same conditions. Maxims of law 66E. Jurisdiction is a power introduced for the public good on the account of the necessity of dispensing justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Angie Anderson, then Chuck Mars, Nancy Thorns, and Shirley Ricard is our last speaker. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, Supervisors. And thank you, Supervisor Christie. Arizona's Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, a frequent recurrence to the fundamental principles is essential to the security of individual rights and the perpetuity of free government. Arizona Constitution, Article 2, Section 2 also states, all political power is inherent in the people, and governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed and are established to protect and maintain individual rights. There is a constitutional challenge to statutes and acts, maxim of law. The main objective of government is the protection and preservation of personal rights, private property, public libraries, and upholding the law of God. Whereas in Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution, it mandates that the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. Thank you.
Chuck Mars.
Chuck Mars here. Take notice that the people of Arizona established the Arizona Constitution, that our elections are held by the people. The people also make it mandatory that no powers, either government or corporations, shall interfere with the people's right to suffrage. Since 2002, the rights of suffrage of the people of Arizona have been subverted by corporations. This subversion was due to the state of Arizona and the federal government enacting HAVA, Help American Vote Act of 2002, and the Arizona revised statutes under Title 16, Chapter 4, Article 4. The people of Arizona no longer have access to free and equal elections, leaving the disenfranchised leaving them disenfranchised due to the lack of constitutional electoral due process.
Thank you. Nancy Thorns?
This is a continuation. Whereas, a matter of necessity, it is the duty of this United States and Arizona Constitutional Court of Record to declare the Help America Vote Act of 2002 null and void. It does not require a sergeant at law to see that these civil cases are rife with miscarriage of justice, misprision of felony, and trespass leading to treason. It is our duty to the Father, God Almighty Most High, that we bring it to your conscience, the guardians of his will. Plaintiffs herein accept and acknowledge the dominion plenum, which means that we, the people, have full ownership or complete control as the authority granted to each of us by the Father Almighty God. Furthermore, criminal complaints shall be submitted against officers, agents, or any persons who have committed and continue to commit trespass, maladministration, fraud, and the absolute breach of contract by knowingly enacting and carrying out unconstitutional acts against the people, herein being the plaintiffs. Plaintiffs accept the oaths of all trustees, servants, officers, agents, and persons alike and bind them to it, reminding them that they have sworn or affirmed duty and obligation to the constitutions. Plaintiffs, as the people of Arizona, are making you liable for the actions of your subordinates. The Lord our God is the supreme witness to your acts and deeds, and his retribution and vengeance is always perfect. This matter is to be extinguished and settled in the common law with no respect of persons. The people have spoken. Now it is done through his chosen saints in the peace, love, and name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Shirley Ricard is our last speaker.
What you have all heard and been witness to today chronicles the many ways that our legislature is violating and breaking the law in regard to our elections. I hope that you have not only listened, but that you have indeed heard and even internalized the severity and intensity of the wrongs that have been and are still being perpetrated against us. There is so much good that can be done if we choose to boldly take that all-important first step to stand for integrity in Arizona's electoral process. We look forward to the day when other states will use Arizona as their shining example of what to do, and that they will strive to emulate our deeds and the corrections that we implement herein now, instead of using us as the prime example, if you will, of what not to do in regard to election etiquette. Consider this, you all. What will your legacy be from your term on this board? Will you be revered for your integrity and remembered for championing the rights of we the people and the godly values that we represent? Or will you be held in ridicule? Will you be held in ridicule, contempt, as tales of your deceit, duplicity, and greed, cataloging your myriad nefarious backroom dealings in executive session are recounted time and time again? Think about that. What memorable words will be indelibly etched on your tombstone? For example, here lies a true patriot and champion of liberty and justice who chose to make the hard choices when the going got tough? Or will it read something similar to this? Here lie the pitiful remains of a Marxist communist who only ever thought of their own self-advancement and lived for accolades and self-aggrandizement at the expense of...
Okay, the call to the audience is now ended. Ms. Ricard was our last speaker, and so I'll ask my colleagues if you have to ask staff to put a matter on a future agenda, respond to a criticism, or have staff respond for any other item. The only thing I will say is that we all took the oath of office, and the paperwork is available at the clerk's office, but also the county recorder has recorded it there, so you can get copies of it. Okay, thank you. All right. Next we have the time certain item 12, Flood Control District Board, riparian habitat mitigation. Okay. So staff requests approval. I'm sorry. That was the only, those were the speaker cards we had. Was there someone that wanted to speak before I closed the call? Oh, so can you fill, did you put your name on it? So it's fine. Go, ma'am, go ahead and come fill out a card and you'll have 2 minutes. I've already closed the call, but I'll go ahead and make the exception. We don't have it, sorry. It doesn't matter. You can turn it in up until the last speaker. There's no like a window in regards to that. And if you can please state your name and then fill out the card after, please.
Thank you for extending me this time. Anastasia Tsatsakis, legal resident of Pima County. I was here actually to speak on item number 41, incidentally. And I keep thinking about things over and over, and I've been here time and again, and you guys know that, to stop taking federal funds and using them to house illegals. We had a gentleman here that was just speaking earlier on the fact that he went to an English class. And he spent, from my count, about 5 years learning English. And he took a citizenship class within that class, and he became a legal citizen. Why do you want to still consider yourselves legal tenders of illegal citizens that are not even legal residents of this county or this state? You keep wanting to do that, and spending $6 million on a property to house those people is an even worse violation. I came here about probably 3 meetings ago. Article 4, Section 4, you are all in violation of that of the Constitution for allowing an illegal invasion in this county, at least in particular. You are all in violation of that. That's federal law. You cannot violate that, and you have these people like that gentleman that was here from the Congo earlier who have been coming here legally and wanting to be legal citizens, but yet you've got the line jumpers. They're just walking across the border with their phones, me go here, and you ship them off. Why are we spending $6 million on a property to house illegals? They already blew apart the hotels, I guess, so you need to move on to the next thing, right? I'm not understanding that. You guys need to stop doing this. This is our tax money. You are not being good federal or good stewards of our funds here. Whether you agree or not, this American Rescue Plan Act business, this coronavirus crap to buy a building to house illegals is illegal. You can no longer use our tax dollars without our permission on illegal activity.
Thank you. Okay. Yes.
For the record, Supervisor Hines is present.
Thank you. So item 12 is staff request approval of riparian habitat mitigation plan in lieu of fee proposal in the amount of $110,000. This was the item that was time certain. Thank you for extending. We have the Sanzia here who can speak to the issue. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Supervisor Christine, a second by Supervisor Hines. I do have a couple questions. I'm wondering if y'all can come up, please. Thank you. Hi. Trying to go ahead and introduce yourself for the record.
Absolutely. My name is Kevin Wetzel. I'm a business development individual from...
You want to move the mic up just a little?
Sorry.
There you go.
My name is Kevin Wetzel. I'm not a resident of the county, and I represent Pattern Energy, the developer of the Sanzia transmission line.
Thank you.
My name is Jill Bunnell. I'm a professional wetland scientist. I represent CanAcre as an environmental consulting company for the Sanzia project.
Okay, thank you. So I know that this project has been sort of in the works, like first proposed 17 years ago. So you guys have been working on this for a little bit. There was some controversy about the route. There was a suggestion that perhaps you could, follow a different way. And as a result, in the paper just recently, the chair of the Tohono O'odham Nation, Chairman Berlin Jose, had an issue with the path and what's happening in the San Pedro River Valley. Can you explain a little bit of what your role in this is and where those complaints went?
Absolutely. So first off, we respect all the rights of the indigenous peoples and any other project stakeholder to make their voices heard during the development process. The project is located on private, state, and U.S. federal lands only. And by federal law, any tribal consultation has to be government to government. So our federal government to the tribal nations' federal governments. And we're kind of a supporter of that process when asked questions or asked to engage. So the permitting of the route and the route selection actually occurred between 2009 and 2015. The route was selected in 2015 and has not changed in Arizona since that time. And so since 2009 and actually all the way through today, the BLM, the Bureau of Land Management on behalf of the U.S. federal government, has engaged with a great number of tribes and other stakeholders under that process. And we continue to support that process, and we'll continue to support that process and all stakeholder engagement between construction, which is occurring now, all the way through and into operations.
And then one of the arguments, so this is 500 miles?
550 miles.
And 16 miles are going through Pima County?
That's correct.
Okay. And so I just wanted to highlight that. And then, so the idea, I guess there was some opposition because the power is coming from central New Mexico through mostly to California. We'll have an opportunity, I guess, here in Pima County to bid through our utility company, but that's sort of variable, but that's where the line is going. Is that correct?
The transmission line actually goes from central New Mexico to Pinal County, and so that's the end of the transmission line here in Arizona. Okay. And I'd actually say it's maybe the other way around. We will be bidding to Tucson Electric Power as well as other Arizona utilities and other off-takers throughout the western U.S. to try to sell our power to those utilities as customers.
So we will have an opportunity to bid on that or vice versa, accept that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Does anyone have any questions?
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Christie.
This particular project is within my district, and I appreciate the outreach that you've done with our office as well as the constituents and residents of the area involved. It appears to me that you've taken into consideration all of the elements that are pertinent here, and we definitely are supportive of any kind of additional power grid that can help our area, particularly the rural area of District 4, and it is noted, and should be noted, that Pima County staff recommends that this particular project be gone forward. So if it's appropriate, Madam Chair, I'd like to move that we accept this the amendment and the contract as so stated.
Yeah, I think you did. I mean, you moved that, and there was a second. I know, I think I feel like you did this.
I'm
It's
just not
okay.
used to you seconding it.
Right? Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you so much for being here. My concern is, it was pretty well advertised and in the paper, concern from Chairman Verlin Jose. And so I'm wondering where that complaint goes to at this point.
Absolutely. So the Bureau of Land Management, as the arm of the federal government that's engaging with the tribes, is responding to that. We know for a fact that there is outreach for additional meetings and exchanges in writing that are happening to try to address any concerns that the tribe may have and try to kind of, address them through the treatment of any cultural properties that may be present in the area.
So I guess their big concern is right now that construction is happening. Is there any pause in what you're doing in order to address those concerns or come up with that process? The argument is that those are ancient, historic kind of lands, and that you may find artifacts that are important to different tribes.
Absolutely. So we've actually done a cultural survey on 100% of the 550-mile route. And anywhere where a traditional cultural property has been identified, we have a separate kind of approval process through the federal government to allow for construction in those areas. And that is paused until some of these elements can be considered.
Okay, great. Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, we have executive session, and we have items 8 and 9 on the regular agenda, and items 2, 3, and 4 on the addendum. I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
I have a motion, a second. Motion by Supervisor Scott, second by Supervisor Hines. Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. As soon as we're done there, we'll come back out to the public. Thank you. Okay, thank you all for your patience. We're back from executive session. I would like to note that item number 8 was legal advice. No vote. Item number 9 was legal advice, but there is a vote on 17. And this is the conflict of interest waiver to request for the conflict. I'll go ahead and, or request for a conflict of interest waiver. I'll go ahead and move that item.
Second.
A motion and a second for 17. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. And then on the addendum, item number 2, this was legal advice, but we have item number 16 on the regular agenda. And this is to release an attorney-client communication dated October 20th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion by Supervisor Christine, a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. And then item number 3, which is connected to addendum item number 6. That item is going to come back on November 21st. And then item number 4 on the addendum was legal advice. Okay, so that covers all of our exec. And then do we want to just go ahead and finish the addendum since we're here?
Madam
Yes.
Chair, I move that we accept the appointment in District 4 to the Board of Adjustments as so stated, item number 7.
Okay, I'll second.
Second.
You moved and I'll second, yeah? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. So we are done because item number 5 was rescheduled to the 21st meeting. Okay, so we're done with the addendum. Now we're on, I had a request to bring forward item number 19 since we have, Bern Velasco is here. Thank you. I don't know that we need to have you come up in case anyone has any questions, but this was the item for Air Quality Hearing Board manual procedures that we'd asked for like a little kind of executive summary in the front. And there was another request by Supervisor Christie, legislative, review. So I'm assuming all that's done. Do we have any questions on this item?
Madam
19?
Chair, on number 19, I just have some questions because
So maybe yes. I apologize.
Yes.
I didn't think we'd have any.
the Board of Supervisors agenda item report states that the board members spent months reviewing and updating the manual of procedures based on the, quote, best current business practices. So in the background, it says that the best business practices were used in updating. And then in the county administrator's memorandum of October 22nd, it states that a relatively recent air quality permitting action was challenged, which resulted in the Pima County Air Quality Hearing Board hearing board being convened for the first time in several years. My questions are, what was used, which one was used in the updating of the manual? Was it best business practices, or was it the fact that there was a quality permitting action that was challenged? Were we sued?
So,
Chair,
Administrator Lesher, yeah.
Supervisor Christie, and I know Mr. Velasco can speak to that, but just the answer is when we began to look at an issue, we recognized that we needed to update, and in order to do the update, we looked at the best practices. So additional information from Mr. Velasco about how that occurred.
So particularly the resulted in the Pima County being challenged.
so the board's action was not challenged. There was a risk of challenge because we had to interpret the previous 1978 manual because it was unclear, and so we needed to fill gaps.
So there was not a lawsuit filed as a
No, there was not a lawsuit, but the control officer does anticipate that there may be additional appeals from its actions that may go to the board, and therefore having clear policies that are updated for current practices and any legal action of any sort is certainly appropriate and in fact needed.
Madam Chair, that's all the clarification I needed. I just wanted-
Well, I do want to thank your Air Quality Hearing Board, because I know several of the members were here last time. And so I just wanted to thank them publicly. Chair Marina Lalonde, I know, sorry. Vice Chair Anne-Marie Wolf, Dustin Fitzpatrick, Dr. Philip Harbour, and Dr. Paloma Beamer. Thank them so much for all their work, because they did come last meeting and then we didn't address it, so I apologize for that. All right, any other questions? All right, do we have a motion in a second? Oh, I'll move the item.
Second.
And I have a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate that. Okay, so now we are on, let's go back. We will stay in order now. We are on item 10, Flood Control District Board.
Madam Chair, I'll move the item.
For 10, I'll second. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. The reason why this is unfinished and was brought back was because there was a high degree of redactions in the background, and then we questioned why they were redacted. We did get a response from the county administrator going into great detail about the differences in the contracts, and that's all well and good. I'm trying not to be picky in here or make a big issue of it, but the memorandum of October 27th from the county administrator does not, in my estimation, define why the items were redacted. The term used in the memorandum is therefore struck. And I think there's a distinct difference between struck, which would indicate that you could probably use a red line or a line through what was struck and underlined with a red line, as opposed to a complete redaction. And this is a permanent public record. And my only request, I think, and I think it's an important one, is from a permanent public record standpoint that background information not have any redactions. And that's my only concern over this, and I'm prepared to vote on it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Did you want to respond? No. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. Item number 11, this is for monitors, rating the curve development for Pima County flood warning gauges. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. We've already voted on 12. Now we're on hearings. Item number 13.
I'll move the item.
Well, we have to have,
Oh, it's a hearing.
it's a hearing. So do we have anyone to speak in opposition to the riparian habitat offsite mitigation guidelines ordinance? Okay. All right, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and this would be ordinance number 2023 FC1. Supervisor Christie, move the item.
I'll move the item.
All right, and I'll second. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I would ask that this item be continued. The situation that they're describing here is quite a jump in the fees, because they're going back to 2011 fees and bringing them up to 2023. And that's a long period of time to increase fees, particularly when the methodology for increasing the fees is a CPI. And I think that could create quite a huge increase in fee, and it's probably not the most logical or definitive method to use to increase fees, especially in these times. So I would suggest, Madam Chair, that instead of utilizing cost of living, that maybe we do something along the lines of something like a cost analysis as opposed to CPI, and find out exactly what it is that we need to raise as far as fees. And I'm certain after 13 years of CPI, it's going to be a huge jump, and I don't think that's a very responsible way to increase fees. And I would ask that this item be continued and ask staff to come back with another alternative or alternatives to increasing the fees using cost analysis or other more definitive methods than tying it to CPI.
I'm prepared to vote for this because these fees have not been adjusted since 2011. The amendments are to ensure that the riparian habitat mitigation in lieu of fee remains equivalent to the actual cost of providing on-site riparian habitat mitigation. I feel comfortable with it. I think that their plan to adjust for inflation every 2 or 3 years, that makes sense, and that the increases are going to be over a period of time and then reviewed annually so we don't have this big jump. But I do think that we need to catch up. I was actually very surprised when I saw the fees when we approved them. They're really nominal amounts and cannot address what the actual cost is to mitigate. So I'm still comfortable moving forward. Any other comments or questions, colleagues?
Other than, Madam Chair, what is the cost that would justify the fees? That's all I'm asking for.
I think they provided the information. Administrator Lesher?
Sure. Chair Grijalva, Supervisor Christie, Mr. Shep, if you'd like to give a little more background, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So the fees, we use the CPI, which is a common index to use. We actually compare that to actual costs of construction, which breaks out other areas. And based on our own costs, we do riparian restoration projects are maybe a little bit higher. But rather than actually get into the debate of which fee to use, we're using a standard index. When we talked with the stakeholders who frequently apply it, I think that they were comfortable with this index as well. And so that's why we propose that.
And so the actual cost is in some cases more?
Correct.
Correct. So this is actually sort of kind of lowering the cost reimbursement kind of.
Very
okay,
possibly.
Great. All right. Any other questions? All right. I'll go ahead. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Item passes 3-1 with Supervisor Christie voting no. Now we're on 14. This is a text code amendment, ordinance number 2023 FC2. This is for flood control, amending the administrative. So this I'll go ahead and move the item for sake of discussion.
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Supervisor Scott. This item is instead of, can you clarify what this item is about? It's administrative process, right?
Chair Grijalva, yeah, you see very frequently riparian habitat mitigation plans come to the board. Very frequently those occur when either there are in lieu fees as opposed to on-site mitigation, or when more than 5% of a site of disturbance of a hydro riparian area or important riparian area occur. Very frequently, after discussion with staff and the applicant, this is the best outcome for restoration of riparian habitat. The purpose here is to change the process whereby we send those to the board, which is time-consuming for staff, delays the issuance of permits, et cetera, and instead, in order to continue to provide you information, provide quarterly reports so that you still have the awareness of that particular program.
And are those items going to come to the board here, like the board meeting? Or were you thinking of just sending a memo?
I envision a quarterly memo from the county administrator, similar to other quarterly reports for other departments.
Because we have been receiving them at every meeting, I'm wondering if you could attach it even to the consent on a quarterly basis, so we have an opportunity to look over and vote on it? Just because I don't want it to get lost in the mountain of memos that we get about different fees and stuff.
That's fine. The only suggestion I would have, and we can figure out how to do that, is those permits would have already been issued. Right. So I'm not sure about a vote or informational or something, but we can definitely make sure.
Even it could be information, as long as we have some sort of public process. Since those have historically come to the board, I feel a little bit kind of hesitant for it to just come into our inboxes.
That's fair. We'll make sure that happens.
Casual. Does anyone have any issue with that? Supervisor Scott.
Mr. Shep, it says that the chief engineer shall provide a quarterly report to the board that states the number of riparian habitat mitigation plans that the chief engineer approved during the previous quarter. Quarterly report must include the number of approved plans that used mitigation banking and the number of approved plans that disturbed more than 5% of important riparian area on a property. Two questions. First one, what would be the format for that quarterly report?
Chair Grijalva, Supervisor Scott, I think that it would be similar in the content that you do receive, but constituted into a larger report. So I don't think that we would lose any information that you might normally see, but we're just trying to reduce the process. So you see a plan, you see a total amount of disturbance, you see property information, and I think those would persist in the quarterly report, but it would just be a summation of those things as opposed to individually.
Thank you. And then second question is, given the intent of these plans, could we also in those quarterly reports perhaps get an update on the overall use of the fees?
Absolutely. Chair Grijalva, Supervisor Scott, absolutely, we can do that.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. Yeah. Any other questions or comment? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No. Chair,
Yeah.
sorry, you didn't close the public hearing?
Oh.
So you just moved it for just discussion purposes only?
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of this item? Okay. So I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. We have a motion and a second. And if memory serves, the vote was 3-1 with Supervisor Christie voting no. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. Thanks for the reminder. All right. Now we're on to approval of the consent calendar. I'll go ahead and move approval.
Second.
A motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. Item passes unanimously. We've addressed 16, 17. Now we're on 18, final plat with assurances. This is for Star Valley in District 5. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
A motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Item passes unanimously. We've addressed 19. Is there any interest in grouping things together? Perhaps 20?
20 and 21?
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and move item 20 and item 21. I'll go ahead and move approval. I have a motion, a second by Supervisor Hines. Discussion.
Chair Grijalva?
Yes.
I didn't see a description of the Pima cycle breaker program attached to the item. If we could get some information from Superintendent Williams' office, I'd love to learn more about the program.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. Item passes unanimously. Item number 22 is the Pima County Healthcare Benefits Trust. This is approval for the amendment to current Pima County healthcare benefits. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Christie.
this is basically about term limits and term dates and appointees' time on the trust. Wouldn't this problem have started in 2019 by having the same people maxed out by terms limitations? Why is this being brought up now when it really would have had to have had some effect back in 2019?
Administrator Lesher.
Chair Grijalva and Supervisor Christie, when the Health Trust Board was established, it was established with staggered terms, and then people came on with staggered terms. At some point between then and now, with people resigning or leaving, we realized that all of the individuals were scheduled to come up in 2024. And so I don't know, I can't speak to why it might have been what occurred in 2019, but where we are today is that all of the terms would expire in 2024. It's not a really productive way to run that trust, so we're asking now to go back, amend it, so this next series of appointments go back into the staggered terms, 1, 2, or 3 years, and then from that point forward, everyone's term, it would be staggered, so we don't have turnover of the entire board.
Madam Chair, I understand the thought behind that, but I would like to suggest that the terms begin staggered in 2024 with term limits, because this provides for the institutional memory. I think that the trust is very concerned about, but the appointees do not become permanent appointees.
Chair Grijalva, that if the board would like to offer that amendment and remove term limits, we can certainly make that accommodation.
I think that it is beneficial to have a board that has sort of a mix of experience, and so I'm comfortable voting for the item as it is.
Okay.
All right. Any other question or concern? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Item passes 3-1 with Supervisor Christie voting no. Item number 23 is Pima County Cooperative Extension Annual Report. We've received a report that was right here, nice and shiny when we came and sat back. And Administrator Lesher.
Chair Grijalva, we do have representatives of Cooperative Extension here to review the report with the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here today. I'm going to try and see the slides over here. I also have it here, and they're going to advance them for me. So we'll start from here. I really appreciate being here today. I've met with you in your offices previous years to talk about Pima County Cooperative Extension, and this is our opportunity to actually talk to all of you. So thank you very much for having me. I'm Claire Zucker. I'm the director of Pima County Cooperative Extension. Next. So Cooperative Extension is actually a unit within the University of Arizona's Cooperative Extension, and it's all about turning research into action. I'm going to talk a bit just to lay some context for Cooperative Extension. Next. So Cooperative Extension is, as I said, translating research into action. It has an unprecedented reach. It's one of the only ways that education gets out throughout the country from the universities. And it's both federally and state supported as well as county supported. It was authorized under a federal authorization in the early 1900s as well as state authorization, which was followed up in the 70s and 80s. Next. And if you look at our funding, it's both state, federal, and county support. I'm going to focus on the county support here, which is gratefully because you all do that. You help us be successful to reach people in Pima County with education and help. Our funding, as I said, is state, federal, and county. You, under state statutes, provide office accommodations for the Cooperative Extension unit, which is the case in all the counties in the state and throughout the country. You also appoint our advisory board. You also support us with financial help through the appropriations. It used to be through an outside contract, but it has been brought in line with other counties in the state to be under an appropriations process. Next. I'm going to talk about a variety of things, but where we are, what we do, what's our impact, what are you achieving with your county funding, and also some future opportunities. And I want to start with where we are. If you look at the map, you can see that we're located at River and Campbell with our main office. Tucson Village Farm is also located there. They have additional space. And then we have offices in the Garden Kitchen in South Tucson and also in District 4 in Green Valley. So we have offices throughout the county. We're the only cooperative extension unit in the state to have multiple offices, and that's because the county supports us to do that. So thank you very much for that. Next. You have learned about us through our annual report and also through our bi-monthly newsletter, which we have all of you on. I hope you enjoyed that. And also we provide some reports to your departments for things that we do in coordination with the department. Next. We have 3 arms in cooperative extension: 4-H youth development, ag and natural resources, and health. Next, I'm going to go through each one of these, and I have to go very quickly, so please read the annual report if you want more information. But I want to focus on 4-H quite a bit in this presentation because it is the way that we reach out to youth throughout the county. And our 4-H club program is no exception to that. There are 700 youth in the county getting this educational opportunity. They have leadership opportunities. They go to county fair. If you've never been there, it's awesome. And they do all sorts of life skills building. Next. And where are these located? We have clubs throughout the county in all of your districts. And the shading here shows where the youth are located. I'm going to go into that in more detail in a minute, but next. You can see that we are working cooperatively with Pima County Natural Resources, Parks and Recreation to bring ranch education, 4-H ranch education to the Barvey Ranch. And that's a new thing just created through this appropriation, and it's really successful. We're in our first year, and going into our second year, it's been great. Next. And if you look at where these youth are, they're really in rural eastern Pima County. The little tiny numbers on, oh, you didn't go, next. There we go. The little tiny numbers on the slide indicate how many youth are in each zip code. And you can see that they're surrounding the area. And it's a great reach into those communities. But we also have an urban 4-H program. Next. And that's Tucson Village Farm, a very unique and innovative program in the state. 35,000 hours of education, 7,000 youth involved in this program. They have outdoor education, a ropes course, which is partially funded under the appropriations, and field trips, a culinary program. Next. I want to look at the field trips. This is how the field trip program is split up in your district. These are the schools that we are reaching, or the number of youth we're reaching in your districts. And you can see there's some variability there, and there doesn't have to be. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Next. I'm going to talk about ag and natural resources. This is the chief program in this area. One of the major programs is the Master Gardener program. We have 200 trained Master Gardeners answering questions, helping people improve their lives, their yards, their landscape, water conservation, things that are really important to not just our environment, but our urban setting, our beneficial use of our urban spaces. I show on here the amount of presentations we have and visits to our 1 acre free garden, urban garden, right at our location at River and Campbell. Next. One of the topics I want to focus on, or one of the projects, is a unique new veterans garden that we've put in at the Green Valley location, where veterans are invited to come in to be part of a program where they gain a connection to each other in the programming, and also build skills to learn how to grow things and bring self-sufficiency and healthy living into their lives. Next. We have the Smartscape program, which is funded by Tucson Water very generously, and we do a lot of rainwater harvesting and water-wise landscapes. We run the Sustainable Landscape Expo every year, attended and used by Pima County departments. Next. The invasives outreach that we're doing is new to us. It's part of the appropriations, and we've had a great first start, and I'd be happy to tell you more about that as time allows. Next. I want to move quickly to our health programs. The Garden Kitchen is located in South Tucson. It is a safe haven for people to come and learn about nutrition, about health, about activity, to, again, make their lives better. And not only does the Garden Kitchen do this, but the Garden Kitchen actually does a lot of systems works, partners with over 30 organizations locally, and also helps with 18 different community gardens, things like at Flowing Well Library, at various places in town where people need to learn how to do these activities. Next, we have the Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program, which provides in-depth 8-class series so people can learn enough and have enough time practicing that behavioral changes can happen. And they reach out to underserved communities. They reach out into community centers, into schools, and engage with people for nutrition and activity and those sorts of things. Next. Beyond that, we have the Family Engagement Program, which is all about parenting. They have specialty programs reaching out to special needs parents with special needs youth, and also to incarcerated individuals, working with the state prisons. Very innovative in the state. We're leaders in the nation in this. And they work with parents on things like, how does your child's brain work? How do you deal with misbehaviors? How do you build long-term relationships, which is particularly a problem for incarcerated individuals who are separated from their children. Next. So just to sum up where we've been with this appropriations, this increase in funding that we've had over the last 2 years, and this continued funding. One of the things this offers us is groundskeeping around the Pima County facilities. So the facilities are part of the statute, and this is part of the support for those facilities. Then we also have, as I said, the Tucson Village Farm Ropes Course, ranch education, invasive species. And because we're going through the appropriations, every dollar goes straight into programming at our office. Next. When I look at future opportunities, briefly, we would very much like to increase incrementally the appropriations for next year because we are not keeping up with the cost of living and inflation, and we've had to reduce our programs because of that. For you, we're not going to make it another year without an increase, just straight out. So I really hope that we can make that happen. And then next. We would like very much to, and we've had conversations with Pima County Natural Resources, Parks and Rec about the possibility of moving some of the 4-H programming into other properties, other ranch properties, other open spaces in Pima County, and moving into the farming aspect as well. This was originally part of our conversation, but we have had so much happening at Barvey Ranch that we really haven't had the time to do that, the staff time to do that. So that would be excellent. We've also been in discussions with Pima County Public Health, with Dr. Cullen, about the possibility of leveraging our 4-H hands-on youth education to enhance the Pima County Public Health early intervention education. It's like a great combo. This really could be helpful. Next. I want to take you back to Tucson Village Farm. And this program you see the picture of is the Healthy Living Ambassador Program. It's an extremely popular program among teens. And there aren't many extremely popular programs amongst teens that are about health, about nutrition, about self-empowerment, and futures. And that's what that program is. When you look at the districts, and this is the same graph that you saw before, we are under 30%. We're about 30% on average of the number of schools in your districts. And that ranges from 25% to, Supervisor Christie, you're at 50%. You have fewer schools, but a higher percentage, not fewer served, but that's why you get to 50%, which is great. So that's just to say that there's a huge opportunity. So next, in talking to Dr. Cullen, let me get the next one. Next, please. In talking to Dr. Cullen, we were talking about this Healthy Living Ambassador Program, and she asked, where could we go? What could we do with additional funding? We could reach an additional 4,000 youth with a Phase 1 programming. That would take us to 9,000 youth. Focusing on that early intervention, focusing on the older youth, and providing some pass-through to schools that don't have the budget. We found that there are schools in the region that don't have the field trip budget to come to the farm. I'm happy to tell you more about what that programming looks like on the farm field trips if you would like. Next. There could be a Phase 2 or synchronously done program where we really dive into that Healthy Living Ambassador element. We have 6 high schools and middle schools around the region that are already asking for us to do this work. So we know that there is interest. And so that's what we would love to do, to create these Healthy Living Ambassador programs in schools around Tucson, potentially reaching as many as 11,000 youth and their families. In fact, likely reaching that many. The agent that I talked to about this said, no problem. So we really think that we could do that. Next. So that's my full presentation, along with some future ideas. I welcome any questions that you might have or any thoughts that you might have about our program. And again, thank you so much for the support.
Thank you for the update. We appreciate it. Supervisor Scott.
Ms. Zucker, thank you very much for your presentation. In terms of outreach to schools, because I want District 1's numbers to look like District 4. I was an administrator in 3 different school districts. Principals usually have monthly meetings. They're actually usually longer than board meetings. And getting in front of principals and talking to principals about the Healthy Living Ambassadors, visits to Tucson Village Farm, I'd highly recommend that.
And that's exactly what we could do, but we don't currently have staff capacity to do that. Currently, we have so many repeats that everybody is in there, and we have no more staff to reach out any farther. So we do as much as we can, but that's the problem, is that we need additional staff. And how do we get that? We have to go to grants. We have to look for donations. We come to funders such as the county to do that. But at this point, we're totally at capacity with the reaching out. So we keep sending things out, but that's what it takes, is going to those principals. It takes that time to say, this is something that could really benefit you. So, yeah.
Thank you. And then, Chair Grijalva, if I could just say to Ms. Lesher, when I'm looking at the components of the Family Engagement Program and the Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program, I'm hopeful that our community navigators within community and workforce development are aware of these programs, because I think that would be a great way of getting more knowledge of those programs out into the community. And would also like to say that I'm seeing some tie-ins between what Cooperative Extension is doing and what we're going to be hearing from you and your team next month with regard to the Prosperity Initiative.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other?
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Now we're on item 24. This is the Positive Directions Program with HUD. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
A motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. Item passes unanimously.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Christie.
could we address 25 and 26 at the same time?
Yes, I actually was going to do that. Yay. So I'll go ahead and move items 25 and 26.
Second.
I have a second by Supervisor Scott. Administrator Lesher, can you just briefly touch on what this item is, or Dr. Garcia?
Certainly, and I will turn it over to Dr.
Okay.
Garcia. But Chair Grijalva, we do, as you know, we have contracts to continue to provide some of the workforce development with other counties. For a variety of reasons, they have been challenged and unable to achieve the numbers we had hoped. We're working on some new budgets with those subrecipients, but this is looking to decrease a few of the dollars. Dr. Garcia.
Chair Grijalva, Administrator Lesher, this is part of the H-1B1 workforce program. Essentially, the work is designed to develop middle to high skilled occupations within the areas of information technology, manufacturing, and transportation sectors in those counties. Our partner agencies have not been able to been able to disseminate in the way that they had hoped for, and therefore that capacity is now being absorbed within Pima County.
Okay, and we have the capacity to be able to expend those funds?
We do.
Okay, any questions?
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Christie.
Going to the memorandum of November 3rd from the county administrator, she states, due to a variety of factors, including the challenging hiring market and altered economic landscape that have followed the pandemic, discussions began earlier this year about revising the subrecipient agreements with Santa Cruz County's and Cochise Private Industry Council to reflect the revised participant goals and corresponding budgets for these subrecipients. Then it goes on to say, additionally, Pima County has capacity to serve additional participants, ensuring overall grant metrics are satisfied. And I think this applies to 26 as well. My question is, where it states Pima County has capacity to serve additional participants, how?
Dr. Garcia? Mr. Lesher?
We have, Chair Grijalva, Supervisor Christie, we have staff, we have programs, we continue to provide these functions in Pima County. We're operating them every day. And what we're seeing as we began to look at, as we look towards the end of grants, when we see that the other two counties were not able to come up to, full standards, or to be able to hit those metrics, we can absorb those dollars and hit the metrics in Pima County. If what you want to know is exactly how each program operates, what each employee does within the department, with whom they contact, how do they run the program? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm just, I just want to know if you have a general plan to try to reach
Yes,
the
we do.
metrics. Okay. So my next question is, what happens if you don't meet the metrics? What happens to the funds?
They go back.
Chair Grijalva, Supervisor Christie, we would return the funds. We've not had that happen with this program in Pima County previously.
So you're confident that you will meet the metrics by additionally utilizing Pima County into this program?
Chair Grijalva, Supervisor Christie, I am.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second.
And that could go to 25 and 26, right?
Yeah, both 25 and 26. Motion a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Supervisor.
would it be possible to address 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36?
Literally, I had it written down right there. Yes. So we'll go ahead and move 27 through 37.
So I want to address
Oh,
37.
you want to address 37 separate. So 27 through
Through
36. All right. Lots of good stuff in there. So you want to go ahead and move that?
I also move.
And I'll second. Any discussion on any of the items since we're covering a lot of them? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. And now we're going to go to item 37. This is Perdomo McDonald to provide Himmel Park Library expansion and renovation. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
A motion, a second by Supervisor Christie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is kind of a neat thing because I grew up in the Himmel Park area and used that library when I went to Sam Hughes School, District 1, TUSD.
Whoop, whoop.
My question is, the funding. In the agenda item itself, it says non-bond projects fund. What is non-bond projects fund?
Administrator Lesher.
Chair Grijalva and Supervisor Christie, again, that is part of your capital improvement project, and the budgets come from different funding sources. Carmine, do you want Mr. DeBonis provide a little more?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Christie, yeah, because it's the library, it's library district tax revenue that's being used, and I know we've had that nondescript language appear in there. We'll make a point to be more specific in the future.
So this really would fall under the auspices, as the county administrator said, of the capital improvement? And what is the balance of the non-bond projects fund?
So, Madam Chair, Supervisor Christie, our project designing instruction office, this was a question you had asked recently, delivers projects across a range of different departments. So it could be libraries, it could be parks, it could be facility improvements. So that team delivers a variety of different projects. I do not know the answer to that question about the non-bond revenue fund, and we'll have to research that and get information back to the board.
So library district would be the funding, probably? It would not be appropriate to characterize this as some sort of a slush fund, right?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Christie, this is library district tax revenue,
Okay,
and we will get that information to you.
If you look at the background in the documentation here, it doesn't point to any source of funding on the contract award information, the amendment, revised award. None of it indicates any funding. It's just stated in that, but I will assume that it's most likely coming from the library district fund.
Madam Chair, Supervisor Christie, it is coming from the library district tax revenue, and we will clean this up in the future. Thank you.
Madam Chair. That's all I have.
Sure. So non-bond is just the title for all of the funds. So different departments put into this. And so I think that if we could just say non-bond project and then just list like the actual line item it's coming out of, that would be helpful. Yeah? All right.
Just so it doesn't say slush fund or anything.
Oh my gosh. Okay, all in favor. We have a motion a second, right? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. Item passes unanimously. And now we're on to real property. Can we do 38 through 40?
Madam Chair, I'd like to address 40 and 41.
Okay, so let me I'll just do them one at a time. 38 is in District 5. It's the purchase of property on Valencia Road and Camino de la Tierra. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
A motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. 39 is Altero 2, at Sapori Ranch Management Agreement. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
A motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes unanimously. Item number 40 is open space, 240 acres of open space non-bond projects fund. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
Have a motion, a second by Supervisor Christie.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Supervisor Christie.
If in the background, well, first of all, the item says open space / ranch land. In the background, it says the county will require approximately 240 acres of land, including residential and ranch improvements. What is the residential plans? Is this affordable housing or?
Madam Chair.
Administrator Lesher.
Madam Chair, Supervisor Christie, so there is a residence on the property. That residence will be part of the overall ranch management of the county's ownership of Rancho Seco. So we have active ranching activities that go on out there. This is not intended for affordable housing. It's part of the daily operations of the ranch.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate the slides. If y'all haven't had a chance to look at it, it's pretty beautiful. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Item passes 3-1 with Supervisor Christie voting no. Okay, now we're on item 41. This is the acquisition agreement for the building located at 1150 West Drexel Road, utilizing American Rescue Plan, state and local fiscal recovery, and State of Arizona Border Securities. I'll go ahead and move this item.
Second.
Have a motion, a second by Supervisor Christie. All those in, any discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Supervisor Christie.
This is a interesting yet kind of a troubling situation. Of course, this is the Drexel Road property that's going to be used, that is being used for asylum seeker housing due to the fact that Casa Solidas is overcrowded. I'm looking at the sales or leasing or rental advertisements from Picor on this property that goes back the first time to March 18th of 2022, and the sale price is $7,900,000. Then in September of 2022, it's reduced to $5.9 million. Then, at some point after that, the owners of the property put together kind of a sales brochure that states the description of the property, and it states substantial funds have been spent bringing the building up to full occupancy capabilities with over $500,000 in HVAC replacements alone. It lists here no sales rate, no sales or lease or rental rate. That's not listed. So I have a series of questions. How much has Pima County spent on tenant improvements?
Administrator Lesher.
Chair Grijalva, Supervisor Christie, I don't have that number with me. We'll be happy to provide it to you.
Be happy to provide that number. And since there are no sales, lease, or rental rate listed on this one, and you're going to be happy to provide me with the...
If I may, Supervisor Christie, under the county codes, and as you'll note in here, we are, the price that we pay for things is a percentage of or all of an appraised value. So I know that, Mr. DeBonis, did you want to...
Well, no, I'll be getting to that.
But we don't go off those forms. So
I want to make sure that I get everything covered here. Why isn't the Pima County's investment in the tenant improvements, why aren't they deducted from the purchase price? It appraised for $6.2 million. That's what the county's buying it for. But it makes no effort or attempt to reduce that price, which should be reduced due to the at least $500,000 in HVAC, and I'm sure there was more than that. Why wasn't the tenant improvements reduced from the purchase price? Isn't that the standard norm in real estate transactions?
Administrator Lesher.
I'm sorry, I thought, was he going to just list questions and then we can?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to
Sure.
go ahead and go through all your questions?
Might as well. In the course of looking through all of this, we found that no tenant improvement permits have been pulled by Pima County. Why is that? And we're paying $6.2 million, which is the appraised value. So at some point, I would appreciate some sort of a distillation of the funding sources and the amounts, so that then we go back to the actual contributions that the state's going to make and Pima County's going to make. On September 19th, County Administrator Lesher stated that the building is appraised at $6.2 million, and the state will pay half, which equals $3.1 million. But during that same meeting, the Board of Supervisors approved at the September 19th meeting a congregate shelter facility, this one, approval of $4.1 million. Where's the other $1 million going? And then my final question is, if the 6.2 appraisal after Pima County invested in tenant improvements, the reason why it appraised that high is because of the county's tenant improvements. Shouldn't the county's tenant improvements be deducted from the purchase price?
Chair Grijalva and Supervisor Christie, let me speak to the question about the funding first, and then we'll let folks explain the real estate process. At the time we talked with the board about the $6.2 million, we had been in conversations with the state of Arizona, and we had been directed to apply through a grant program with the Department of Emergency Management. We had been told that we were hopeful we would get the full 3.1, but it wasn't completely clear that we would, which is why at the time we went into the ARPA dollars, when we requested the modification, we did the 4.1, should we need closing costs and additional modification, or we were not successful in getting the 3.1 from the governor's office. Subsequently, just in the last week or so, which is why we sent the update, we were informed that we would be receiving the 3.1. We will be able to come back to the board when we look at any modifications of ARPA in the future and look at, now that we don't need the full capacity granted by the board of the 4.1 for this purchase.
Madam Chair, so what is going to happen with the tenant improvements, the cost that the Pima County? I'm
explaining the purchase price. Now I'd like to have Mr. DeBonis explain the real property side of how we evaluate and appraise and purchase lands.
Madam Chair, Supervisor Christie, so the property was appraised in August. That's the $6.2 million value. So the work that's referenced on some of those sales marketing brochures was not done by Pima County. So under the current lease that we had to occupy the building, the owner was required to do those HVAC repairs that you're referencing. Similarly, the county readied the building for use but did not do any improvements to the building structure itself that would have required building permits. So if you've been out there, it's a large open area. It is equipped with the operational amenities for serving the asylum seekers that are coming through and the staff that's utilizing the building. So that's why there's no record of permits being applied for, and the work that you're referencing in terms of upgrading the HVAC or any of the building system elements themselves were the responsibility of the owner, not Pima County.
Well, Madam Chair, this is misleading, apparently, because the brochure states the complex is currently leased to Pima County on a short-term basis and could be available for occupancy within 90 days. So it would be an understanding that Pima County is the one that paid for the tenant improvements. And you're saying that Pima County paid for no tenant improvements?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Christie, that's correct. We didn't pay for those improvements to the building or the building systems like HVAC, and that is a commercial real estate marketing brochure not prepared or issued by Pima County.
So would you then say the owners put the tenant improvements in at that price?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Christie, the owners were responsible for the repairs to the HVAC system.
And this board never, Madam Chair, never voted on tenant improvements for that property before?
Madam Chair and Supervisor Christie, we'll have to go back in the documentation of what was presented to the board. I think there were dollars outside of the lease value itself for the county readying the property, but they did not go to building system improvements that are mentioned in that brochure.
Chair Grijalva and Supervisor
Administrator
Christie, again, we can get you the list of that. There were things such as, I think, some temporary showers. There were additional porta-johns. There were some improvements, if you will, or things that can add to the livability of the facility that are temporary and were simply are temporary. They're not part of that facility.
And Administrator Lesher, one other thing, but we customized it for the use that we needed it. So it's kind of like if you buy any commercial property and it used to be a restaurant, now it's going to be something else. You go in and make some of those changes. The HVAC makes sense to me, but like showers and temporary walls, separation things, those kind of things, it would make sense for the county to put those in because we're the ones that understand what the needs are for those specific programs.
Well, in any event, Madam Chair, if I could get that information that we discussed earlier from Mr. DeBonis and Ms. Liz Lesher. And finally, one last question. The original term of the lease started in December of 22 and expired, according to the lease amendment 1, expired the following June of 2023. Have we, since June of 2023, have we been on a month-to-month, or how have we been facilitating that property and being able to occupy it?
Administrator Lesher.
Chair Grijalva, Supervisor Christie, yes, we've been on month-to-month.
Month-to-month at $411,828. Is that right?
I do not know that number. It's approximately $50,000 a month. Happy to get that back to you again when we break out all of those costs. Part of it is we began the negotiations, discussions about whether or not we could purchase the facility.
Okay, that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Item passes 3-1 with Supervisor Christie voting no. Now we're on item 42. This is contract language for I-10 and River Road. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
A motion and a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes unanimously. Item number 43, they're kind of different. 43 is workforce development to provide weatherization assistance program. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
I have a motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Item passes unanimously. Item number 44, this is Vitalist Health Foundation Attorney's Office System Change Grant. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
A motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Item passes unanimously. Item number 45, this is Arizona Department of Homeland Security, a grant to provide Elections Department and Recorder's Office election security. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
A motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Discussion.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Christie.
I think it would be important very quickly, just to, for the record, discuss and list what the improvements will be and what they involve, and it's in the background. The Elections Department will utilize funds for, 1, exterior security lighting that will be added to the outside of the building and the parking lot. 2, installing monitors for existing surveillance systems that permit real-time observation of the exterior near the public viewing entrance. And 3, installing a ballistics-grade viewing window in the exterior door leading to the public viewing area. Then the Recorder's Office will utilize funds to do the following. 1, install security bars on 2 floor-to-ceiling windows that face the parking lot in the employee break room. And 2, add additional security cameras to cover blind spots in both the lobby and the public parking areas. So I think it's important that the public realizes that there are protective elements being installed on the exterior to prevent anything from the outside in any kind of nefarious activity with our elections department and recorder's office. And there are also elements within the inside of the building that will certainly monitor any kind of activities there that need to be addressed in a security manner. So I think it's important that the public knows that, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. Item 46, this is acceptance of an Arizona Department of Health Services Health Start Program. It's no cost. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
I have a motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes unanimously. The only thing I do want to touch base is Arizona is changing from sending a set amount to a cost reimbursement model. And I think that's puts a lot more strain on our staff. And so I'm wondering, for our nonprofit partners, if we can look at some of the grants that we provide to other people, other organizations that are currently cost reimbursement that have been ongoing for a long period of time, if we can look at doing quarterly disbursements instead, and then looking at the data and results on the back end. Because we used to do that, and then we transitioned to cost reimbursement, and I think our staff appreciates that this is a lot more work, and for our nonprofit partners, I'd really like to see how we can alleviate some of that stress back and forth. So if we can, and especially for our programs that are consistent, we've had them for years, the amount of money that they're going to receive for the contract doesn't change. If we can look at moving away from cost reimbursement for our more experienced nonprofits, I think that would make a lot of sense. Okay, so do we want to do 47, 48, 49?
Madam Chair, I would like to address 47. However, 48, 49, 50, 51, and 52 could be addressed at once.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and do 47. This is a CDC community health grant, and it's a 3-month no-cost extension. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Item passes 3-1 with Supervisor Christie voting no. If it's okay with everyone, we'll take 48 through 52. Had a really good programs in there. I'll move those items.
Second.
I have a motion and a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Items passed unanimously, and that was 48 through 52. And now we're on to acceptance of a grant for the Sheriff's Department SWAT van replacement. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
I have a motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Supervisor Christie.
Just a question. This grant has been in place for over a year, and it's being asked, it's being requested that it be extended 1 month, and it involves the purchase of a SWAT van. Why is it taking a whole year to purchase a SWAT thing, and what is 1 more month going to make a difference about it? I don't understand.
Administrator Lesher.
Chair Grijalva and Supervisor Christie, we have had extraordinary problems with supply chain for many of our vehicles, but we have every reason to believe we can get it across the line.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Lesher.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item passes unanimously.
Madam Chair, 54, 55, 56, if it's at the will of the board, could be addressed.
Okay, so 54 is cost reimbursement, 55 is Victims' Rights Program Award, 56 is resolution number 2023-58. That's all I needed to say, right? Okay, we just want to make sure to read that. Okay, we have a motion and a second, no, we have a motion, I'll second. Supervisor Christie moved the item. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm voting no on 54, so.
Okay, so why don't let's change it real quick. 54 is Department of Justice. I'll go ahead, Supervisor Christie, would you still move that one? And I'll second. Do you want to speak on the item?
No.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Item passes 3-1 with Supervisor Hines voting no. Item number 55, Victims' Rights Program Award. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
I have a motion and a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. 56 is resolution number 2023-58. I'll go ahead and move the item.
Second.
I have a motion, a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Items passed unanimously, or item passes unanimously. We have a hearing. Should we just split up and do the liquor license? So we have 57 and 58. There is a hearing for liquor license for a Circle K on Orange Grove Road, West Orange Grove Road, and then 58 is for True Food Kitchen on Skyline Drive. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of these licenses for either of those? Okay, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and move to approve items 57 and 58.
Second.
I have a second by Supervisor Christie. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes unanimously. Items pass. And we have item number 55. This is a rezoning.
59.
I'm sorry, 59. 59, I'm sorry. This is a rezoning waiver to change, So, and I'll go ahead and move approval, or did you want to go ahead and move it?
Sure. If there's nobody here to speak in opposition, I'll move to close the public hearing and to follow the recommendations of both the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff to approve the rezoning subject to standard and special conditions.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item passed unanimously. Item number 60, this is a rezoning ordinance number 2023-17 for the Quail Canyon North Oracle Road specific plan.
Chair Grijalva.
Supervisor Scott.
If there's nobody here to speak in opposition, I will move that we close the public hearing and approve the rezoning ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, Supervisor Christie seconds. I'm going to go ahead and move and vote no because I did not vote for the initial proposal. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm opposed. Item passes 3-1. And I voted no. Okay, item number 61 is a hearing for solid waste fee ordinance. It's ordinance number 2023-18. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Okay, so I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and move approval.
Second.
And I have a second by Supervisor Scott. Any discussion?
Chair Grijalva.
Supervisor Scott.
We got some questions about these new fees earlier today from the Tucson Metro Chamber, speaking on behalf of one of their members. I'm grateful for the fact that staff has indicated that they're going to be following up with the chamber on behalf of their member, but there's no need to continue the item, which was something that I was thinking about when we initially had that contact, but no need to do that. Just grateful for the dialogue that's going to ensue.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor
I
Christie.
just feel this is an inopportune time to be raising fees.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No?
Item passes 3-1 with Supervisor Christie voting no. And with that, it is election day. Polls close at 7. Please look up and see if you still have your ballot. And then our next board meeting will be on November 21st. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.